There's an interesting comparison I saw recently where Simon Presley, who we've had on the show before from Propertyology, was making a comparison between the Brisbane market in Queensland and Hobart in Tasmania, and talking about the similarities and picking both of them actually as somewhat hotspots for this year. Simon joins me. Simon, thanks for your time.
Always a pleasure, Kevin.
Interesting to see. I've never really seen anyone make that kind of comparison before between Brisbane and Hobart. And I think that Hobart market in particular is one that, I've been waiting for almost a decade to see improve. Why are you picking Hobart? Brisbane to me is a bit of a standout, but I can't understand Hobart.
Yeah, look, great question. It will probably surprise you and all listeners, Kevin. Propertyology has been investing in property in Hobart for 2 years. We obviously keep our trade secrets close to our chest, but we always have a keen interest in property economics, and because we only work for investors. And property shelter, and wherever there's going to be improving economies that's sustained, logic suggests there'll be more shelter. So for a couple of years, we've been quite excited about the outlook for Tasmania's economy, albeit very conscious that the recent past has had some challenges. But it fits very, very well. The industries that drive Tasmania's economy are really starting to prosper from the Asian century, and which is a money trail we've been following for some time. So we gave Hobart the green light in terms of macro level research and started investing there 2 years ago. And affordability is one thing, but Hobart's always been more affordable than other capital cities. But it's economic makeup that excites us the most. So clients that we got in there, say 18 months ago, have already achieved in the vicinity of, say, 15% growth. Now, outside of Sydney and Melbourne, I'd suggest there's very few places anywhere in Australia that has achieved that. But yet Hobart very rarely gets the headlines because it's Tasmania. It's that little forgotten island that not many people think of.
You're talking about great growth there of 15% over a couple of years. Are there particular areas in Hobart that are improving better than others? Is it down by the water, or are there some suburbs that stand out?
Oh, no, not so much. We're not suburb specific. We're street specific. I guess one of the luxuries that people have in Hobart is it's water everywhere, really. On the mainland here, it's rare for us to have a property with a water view, isn't it, Kevin? But in Tasmania, it's everywhere, and they sort of take that for granted. But no particular suburbs. So we're street specific. We always place a lot of value on buying properties in close proximity to jobs. We take a keen interest in zoning changes, traffic congestion. They're fundamentals we follow in every city, not just Hobart.
Those barometers that you're talking about there are fairly long-standing. They're nothing new. You touched earlier on some of the things, the economy of that area. What's changed there to pique your attention?
Yeah, okay. So probably the reason people don't consider Hobart is for so long its unemployment rate was so high. But when unemployment rates are reported, it's generally, Tasmania's doing this, Queensland's doing that, which is not really useful for a property investor because we need to know about the city. Hobart's unemployment rate hasn't been that bad, and now it's actually below the national average. Its main industries that are really starting to prosper, Kevin, in no particular order here. Tourism is going off the Richter scale. The number of international and domestic visitors going to not just Hobart but Tasmania broadly, it's the fastest rate of growth in all of Australia. For its visitor numbers. So that directly affects jobs in cafes, hotels, restaurants, the retail and accommodation sector, basically. So it's off the planet. The Chinese president made a formal visit to Hobart about 15 months ago now. It's the first time that a Chinese president has ever visited Tasmania. So all the images from the 2 or 3 days that he spent there was being back to their homeland for 1.3 billion people every single day. Every meeting he went to was being back to there. So that's directly affected the tourism market, but its advanced manufacturing sector has a wonderful opportunity. The agricultural products on Tasmania are world class, and so whether it's beef or cheese or various beverages, the manufacturing sector is growing. which creates jobs, which creates demand for accommodation. And the third main industry is its international student market. Hobart is sort of unofficially a university city, and the universities are expanding largely to tap into the Asian market.
Now, let's have a look at Brisbane, because you mentioned the two cities, Hobart and Brisbane, as the two areas that you were pretty excited about.
Yep.
The indicators there for Hobart, or for Tasmania, tourism, Chinese interest, manufacturing and students, have they also applied in Queensland or in Brisbane, or are there different measures there for you?
We're less certain about Brisbane's economy. We've felt for some time, Kevin, that Queensland has a lot of potential with its economy, but I guess for a variety of reasons, its confidence isn't as good as what it's been in, say, Victoria and New South Wales, and we're still waiting for the signs that that's going to happen. We think investing in Brisbane is not a bad decision. Pound for pound, though, I'd buy a property in Hobart over Brisbane every day of the week. I'm not just saying that; I've done that. 2 years ago, I purchased in Hobart for my own portfolio. Brisbane is more affordable than Sydney and Melbourne, yes, but it's always been that way. So in isolation, that shouldn't be a reason for any investor to buy in Brisbane. The job market in Brisbane has been improving, but it's still patchy. When we follow the jobs numbers, 1 month it's a good growth, and the next month it's come backwards a bit. So we're just not getting that consistency there.
I want to get your opinion too on the Golden Sunshine Coast, but before I do that, I want to take you out to the Ipswich area, which is having phenomenal growth, and we've talked about that in the past. Is that an area where you would tend to look because of what's happening out there? I mean, there are going to be some big improvements in employment as well.
Yeah, I think on the employment front and the general confidence front, Ipswich has it over Brisbane, I feel, at the moment. Its jobs growth is better. They've got always had a very, very proactive, very energetic mayor out there. Paul Pasali is a real go-getter. There's a number of good things on the jobs front for Ipswich. I guess tempering that, though, is the supply side of things. There's a heck of a lot of land on the outskirts of Ipswich, always has been. And it's very developable land as well. The big Queensland developers have land banked that for some time, so they control supply. So Ipswich certainly definitely will go okay, but it's a market where supply will probably always be a little bit ahead of demand. And when the dynamics happen in that order, you tend to get growth, but not spectacular growth like we've seen in Melbourne and Sydney.
Golden Sunshine Coasts, what's your view on what's happening there?
Oh, look, Gold Coast we've been bullish on for probably 18 months now. Its economy is arguably one of the best in Australia at the moment, and as far forward as we can forecast, it looks like continuing to be that way. It's not all related to the Commonwealth Games, although there are some big projects that are being built for the Games. And of course, as we get close to the Games, that'll be great for the tourism trade as well. But there's been a number of, very significant infrastructure projects for the Gold Coast, which has created lots of jobs and improved amenities. People do need to be mindful, though, that Mayor Tom Tate is a developer by trade, and you always need to keep your eye on the building approval volumes on the Gold Coast, especially in the apartment market. It's not an oversupply now, but it certainly has the potential to be that way in the coming years. Sunshine Coast. It's a lifestyle location. It will go okay, but we've never been greatly excited about the Sunshine Coast. Beautiful part of the world to live, but whatever broader Australian property markets will do, Sunshine Coast typically follows that sort of trend. Nothing spectacular.
You've just heard Kevin and Simon speak in great detail about a lot of locations around Australia, one of which is Hobart. Testament to our research that we gave Hobart the green light 2 years ago when no one else was speaking about Hobart. We've helped many clients invest in Hobart over the last 2 years, and if you've got any interest in property or investing in property and would like to know more about Hobart or any of our other locations which may be as unknown today as Hobart was 2 years ago, give us a call on 1300 65 40 70 or send us an email at invest@propertyology.com.au.